Welcome back to the morning show here on Rice News. Nigerian citizen Kudirat Adeshola Afolabi was executed in Saudi Arabia on Monday for drug trafficking. Several days earlier, 5 Nigerians were arrested in the United Arab Emirates for stealing 2.3 million dirhams, a total of 225.4 million naira when converted to local currency. This resulted in the suspension of the issuance of 3-month UAE visas to Nigerians. Joining us now to speak on these matters and what they mean for Nigeria's diplomatic relations is Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Relations and the Diaspora, Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa. Hello, Honorable Dabiri-Erewa. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for...
Nice to be with you this morning.
Yeah, thank you for coming to the morning show. You've been, if I may use the phrase...
First.
You said?
First, I don't think the UAE 3-month thing is correct. Okay. So let's get that clear. I'm not sure. I can't confirm that UAE has suspended 3-month visa for Nigerians. Just to put that straight for the records. I think that is still a social media story. Yeah, so it's not verified yet.
It was widely reported, particularly on social media. You are correct about that. So you are saying that it is not true. That is not the case. Or you are yet to confirm it.
I can't verify that. Yes, I know somebody who still got his 3-month visa yesterday. So, and he told me. So I can't verify the fact that UAE has stopped that. But when we do verify officially, of course, we'll let you know.
Well, thank you for that clarification. But you've been in the eye of the storm, if I may say so. Immediately after you described the killing of the woman in UAE as pathetic, then subsequently you also talked about the 5 Nigerians who attacked a bureau de change in Dubai. The argument is that, yes, you've been putting an ethnic face on the matter. You were accused of not naming and shaming the woman in Saudi Arabia, but you named the 5 young men involved in the act of criminality in Dubai. They all turned out to come from a particular part of the country, and there was this outrage. You've been called all kinds of names. Some say you're an ethnic irredentist. Some started, putting out names from your own part of the country, and they kept saying, no, don't put a label on our ethnic group. What do you have to say to defend yourself?
I think it's a sad commentary that at this point in our lives we are tribalizing crime. Crime is crime, no matter, and when you get out there, you hold a green passport. You're seen as a Nigerian. So these people don't know what tribe you come from. You're seen as a Nigerian. So we should not debase that green passport. We shouldn't allow a few bad eggs to spoil the whole bunch. And you know what? If we commit, the Dubai thing was all over the place. You saw the faces released to the public. Only the eyes were covered, and also the names. So there's no reason why it will not be mentioned. However, for the Saudi incident, the woman that was executed, we had to tell the family first before making an announcement. So after informing the family, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a statement stating that her name, as you said, you mentioned her name, Kudirat Adeshola Afolabi, a widow and a mother of 2. And I have bad news for you. Bad news for every one of us. Just yesterday, in the midst of all this cacophony of 20 to be killed, 8 have been killed, another Nigerian was caught with cocaine in Jeddah. He was caught in 1,183 grams of cocaine powder. And as he was arrested, the mission was informed, and his name is Sahid Anyede Shomade. So do not let us tribalize crime. Crime is crime, no matter what. And what we are saying, what the Commission will be pushing is this. We'll be pushing success stories of Nigerians abroad. And we just a few days ago, we talked about the 8-year-old guy that won the chess tournament in America, invited by Bill Clinton. We've talked about Sandy Okoro, who is doing great things at the World Bank, and several others. We celebrate Nigerians in the diaspora, but it doesn't go viral. From all parts of the world, that will not go viral, but the bad news will go viral. But here is the thing. As Nigerians, we should condemn what is bad, as they say. Do we want to breed federal character to criminality? You commit a crime. These are your names. It doesn't matter what part of the country you're from. Now, these two names, now, do you expect this ethnic group to come and start saying, you mentioned the names of our people, they're from our tribe? Crime is crime. It should not be encouraged. When we go out, there's the green passport. And this is the fight, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to ensure that we're not stereotyped. Do not stereotype me because somebody committed a crime. And as Nigerians, go out there and be proud of yourselves. Be proud of your country. Be proud of who you are. Because everywhere all over the world, Nigerians are excelling, and we're so proud to be Nigerians. So I think we should, all that social media conversation, which I never get involved in. I don't do all that back and forth. We've made the statement, and you know what? As long as you do great things, we talk about you. You do bad things, we also talk about you. But as a people, let's celebrate the good in us. Nigerians are excelling everywhere in the world. That we'll continue to encourage. That we'll continue to do. We have what you call the diaspora delight. You're going to see us bring it out there to the public, where we celebrate the goodness in all of us. We are not bad people. That's not our character. These two people whose names I've read to you do not represent who we are. 419 does not have a Nigerian name. It does not have a Nigerian character. And we all should reject being stereotyped. I think that should be the message. Face the issues. Now, remember Edo State. There was a time you say every prostitute is from Edo State. What did Edo State do? They took it headlong. The Oba of Benin, the father of the current Oba, addressed television and radio and said he placed a curse on any Benin family that does that. The current Oba did the same thing. The governor of Edo State took it headlong. He went to those places. He spoke to his people. Today, that stereotype is going. So let's face issues. Let's leave all this after 15 years in television, 12 years in parliament. You know, I'm sure definitely that those comments were not for me. Those are social media issues. And, you know, as people just sit on there and say anything and whatever. So it really doesn't matter. What matters is who are we, what do we want to do as a people, and where are we going to. Let's celebrate ourselves, the goodness in every one of us. We all have good in us, and that's what we'll be celebrating as we move on, especially Nigerians in the diaspora, excelling in that part of the world. We will not stop championing that, and we'll continue. But if you commit a crime, we will tell you. We will name and shame. Because you will not disgrace us, and then we keep quiet. So we're going to do it both ways. You do well, we talk about it. You do bad, we talk about it. I think that is the situation as I see it.
Thank you for that response, Honorable. It's unfortunate that at this point in time, we don't realize how backward it would be to suggest that any one tribe has the monopoly on criminal behavior, and even more backward it is to believe that somebody is suggesting that. At the same time as those 5 suspects were apprehended and their names publicized, the teenagers from Anambra who got a prize in science were also publicized at the same time. So there's good news and bad news coming from every tribe. There are Nigerians of every tribe, all genders, all religious persuasions, in prisons all over the world. There are Nigerians bringing us collective shame, and there are Nigerians bringing us collective glory. I'm glad you've addressed that point. But now I want to talk about what happened in Saudi Arabia and the federal government.
Wait, those 5, okay.
Taking issue with the fact that
those 5 teenagers, we're looking forward to receiving them soon. Now, I said those 5 teenagers, we're looking forward to receiving them soon. And don't forget that, you know, just 6 months back. So, and we also celebrate them and push them out there and actually do commendation letters for them. So Absolutely. We are also going to be looking forward to receiving them soon because we're so proud of them, and all of us.
They've done us so proud, exactly. So with the federal government is taking umbrage with the fact that the Nigerian mission in Saudi Arabia was not informed of the arrest and prosecution of Kudirat Afolabi before her execution. If at all the Nigerian government is informed, like with this unfortunate case of the latest arrest in Saudi Arabia for cocaine possession, what kind of support does the Nigerian mission offer to the person who's been arrested, to their family? How do they get involved?
Yeah, the Nigerian mission has actually been on this case for a while. It's just that it was never a public thing. And as I speak with you, the mission is engaging in touch with the suspect. What the mission demands is free, fair trial. But here is one thing, and these are questions we should ask ourselves. You left Nigeria with cocaine of 1,183 grams. Why were you not detected in Nigeria? We need to step up those efforts of detecting these things right here in Nigeria. If he had been caught in Nigeria, maybe, you know, he won't be in this situation. 2 is that it has also been discovered that airlines, in particular, Ethiopian Airlines, Egypt Airlines. Those are the flights that, you know, these things happen on. Now, NAMA should make it mandatory for baggage identification. A lot of times, you get to the airport, a bag is seen with your name, and the suspect goes, well, I don't know, I've never seen this bag. Then they go back and forth. There are cases where we've been able to prove that, indeed, you never saw those bags. So to deal with these issues, there must be compulsory baggage identification, especially those going on these airlines. And like I said, Saudi Air flies directly. Medview does Umrah and pilgrimage. It has never happened. Emirates, it has never happened, but it's been on frequently on these two airlines. So NAMA needs to talk to them to ensure that they make baggage identification compulsory so that we save ourselves a lot of this embarrassment, and then take responsibility for your baggage. Never take anything from anybody. One of the women that has been sentenced to death in Saudi, her husband actually gave her the package, and it was found on her. So we also should do things back home. So in terms of the mission in Saudi Arabia, they've been on top of the situation. In fact, they've done a whole lot of things. You know, Saudi, they're hard with their rules. We got a communication from the Saudi ambassador yesterday, and he said, well, our law is our law. Death is death. Drug is death penalty, and we're going to enforce it. And it says no matter who you are, no matter what country, no matter your personality, that is our law. But we are not going to stop talking to them. It's demoralizing. And as we are here, the ministry is engaging, the mission is engaging. Just yesterday, another Nigerian, one Mr. Shumadi, carried drugs to Saudi Arabia. 1,183 grams of cocaine is likely to land you a death sentence, and you're still doing it. And then back home, massive awareness. Some of these people don't even, some are literate, some are not. And when you go to court, you don't even understand the language. And so there are many issues here. So what the mission is demanding from the Saudi authorities, let the trials be free, let it be fair, let it be open. Who is representing them? What are they saying? Nobody knows. So that if you're going to die, at least you know that you indeed committed the crime. And the mission's intervention has actually been able to save one or two, but you know, it's few and far between, and it's difficult, especially with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So two-way thing, let's do our own bit back here. Massive awareness on radio in particular. NDLA will be doing that, I hope, subsequently. Massive awareness. For instance, in Pakistan, right there on your passport, where you get your passport, they tell you that if you carry drugs to our country, you're going to die. In Indonesia, it's all over the wall of the airport. Once you land, that's what you see. And then you still see that as they carry it. So we also need to tell ourselves the home truth. Why are we doing this? Why are we breaking laws? And then expect that at the end of the day, you know, they'll beg for you and plead with you. Some of those people, when the consular officers visited them once, they showed remorse, regretted all they did, wish they hadn't done this and all that. But you know what? That might be medicine after death. As a nation, as a government, you won't stop engaging. Nigeria is engaging Saudi diplomatically at the highest level. That's from the minister upwards. And it's been going on. But we've received, well, that is our laws. And they've never, ever, for any country, spared anybody that has been sentenced to death for drugs in particular. So we'll not stop the engagement. And like I said, at a very higher diplomatic level, it will not stop. But let's also, you know, look inwards, search ourselves, talk to our people, and then parents, families, communities, faith-based organizations. I've given you the example of Edo State, where the Oba got involved. We all have to get involved. What are our values? What are we celebrating? You know, so you want your child to be a robber and then come and build you a mansion and all that. So let's also relook at our values. Every one of us must get involved. It's not about governance, it's about all of us as a people and where we're going to, and other values that we celebrate as a nation. We need to relook that, and I call in particular on women, that a lot we need to do.
Indeed, well said, Honorable Abike. But you talked about missions. While the Saudi Arabia, Nigerian mission in Saudi Arabia seems to be in top form, the budget defense of the foreign ministry yesterday revealed that a lot of those missions are not in top form. In fact, the budget defense yesterday, mind-boggling revelations. How much of an impact do the state of those missions have on the fate of Nigerians who find themselves in murky waters and the job you do?
I think the issue of the budget defense and all that, you would have to take that up with the minister or the permanent secretary and the ministry itself. You know, those are not something I know much about. And again, those are things about policy. So you'd have to take that up with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and maybe the permanent secretary. So I can't really answer that question. But in terms of Nigerians in diaspora and what happens at the missions, I think they themselves will tell you that over the years, there's been massive improvement, despite the challenges. For instance, you hear complaints from several missions has gone down. And I don't want us to generalize. If you have a specific issue where something you wanted was not done, we will address it, talk to the relevant authority, the relevant person, but I don't think we should generalize. There are a lot of Nigerians in the diaspora that have told us that they've witnessed increased positive response from many of our missions. For instance, just last week, we started the Nigerian identification number registration in the UAE, in the UK, and which country again? South Africa, so that you can walk into the offices and get your NIN. And it's not compulsory, though. You don't have to go, but you don't have to come to Nigeria to do that. So with a little sum, you can do that. So things are getting better. It's not going to happen overnight, but hopefully when the commission comes on stream, there'll be a structure to deal with these issues, and we take it one after the other.
Yes, in fact, I was going to ask you about the NIN, the National Identification Number. So the clarification is important that you're saying that it is not compulsory, because many Nigerians abroad will probably say, why do I need NIN, when I'm living abroad? Of what value is it? And now you've talked about 3 countries, South Africa, UAE, and the UK. Is there any plan to extend it globally to capture every Nigerian elsewhere? And what is in it? What is the value to a Nigerian who probably has dual nationality?
No, what I said not compulsory. It's not compulsory you do it abroad. You can come to Nigeria and get it done. But NIMC has simplified the process. You can walk into the offices in any part of the country, go to their website, go to the office. What I'm saying is not compulsory. When you do it abroad, you pay a minimum fee. I don't know what they've set it, maybe $50 or so with your family. But what I'm saying is, if you do, here it is free. But over there, you can walk into these offices, they provide the services, and you can get your national identification number. Now, our constitution allows dual citizenship, which is also a good thing for Nigerians in the diaspora. So, but as a Nigerian, you hold a Nigerian passport, you need your national identification number. Number one, it will help us as we prepare, hopefully, subsequently for diaspora voting. So you have your NIN, you are a Nigerian, and you have your identification. Now, the new Nigerian passport that will be coming out soon, on the passport, your national identification number must be embossed on it. So if you get your national identification number, even if you don't have the card, and to all of us here in Nigeria that said we haven't received our cards, even if you don't get your card, if you have your number, by the time you get your new passport, your number will be embossed on it. That passport that immigration is coming out with will be one of the best anywhere in the world. So the clarification is that as a Nigerian diaspora, it's not compulsory. You can get home, get enough free of charge, travel all the way, but you don't need to. And it will be extended to every part of the world. I think the next stage will be the United States of America. I think so. I'll clarify, but I think so.
Honorable, can we have an update on the situation of Nigerians en route to Europe being sold into slavery in Libya?
Yeah, that again, I'm happy to announce that there's been a tremendous reduction with the intervention of President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigerians, trying to cross the desert to Europe. As of today, under President Buhari, Nigeria has brought back, working with the IOM, over almost 13,000 Nigerians stranded in Libya. Now, there are still some more stranded there, but the number, and we're going to do everything to bring everybody back. IOM, NEMA, just received some a few days ago. I still got a distress call from a Nigerian who sent a message that she's somewhere. You can't get to places where the war zone areas, you can't get there. But where they can get there, they are determined to bring every Nigerian back. So it has reduced, and I hope that it will stop totally. And part of the message is going to the communities. Like I said, the Edo State government has done so much in that regard. So go to the community and let them know if you succeeded 10 years ago, this time you're likely to die. And you may not even you won't even get to your destination. So there's been a lot of improvement in that. There's been a lot of awareness. And those that have returned have been telling their stories. And they have been ambassadors to the others to say, my brother, my sister, don't even bother. This is what I went through. It is not worth it. So there's been a lot, but NAPTIP is also working hard on this, and I'm sure all the agencies, NAPTIP, Immigration, NEMA, you know, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our office will keep collaborating to ensure that it becomes history. But as I speak with you, according to statistics, Nigeria does not have the highest number of people even trying to cross the desert. So there's been tremendous progress in that regard because President Buhari intervened personally and gave an instruction, massive evacuation. We brought a lot of people back, and they've been ambassadors to telling others that just don't even dare go there.
Well, you've talked about diplomatic engagements with the UAE, with Saudi Arabia, but we still have this unresolved matter of xenophobia against Nigerians in South Africa. What efforts, you know, is the administration making to address that challenge? It looks intractable. Nigerians get killed all the time, and it's like we're not making any progress on the South African front.
Well, the issue of South Africa, let's break it down. There are two cases in South Africa. Again, we have to tell ourselves the truth. There's the general xenophobia, where the president of South Africa was in Nigeria, and he told President Buhari that it's an embarrassment to South Africa. There's a high rate of crime in South Africa, generally speaking. Out of every month, I think they get almost 50,000 crime issues in South Africa, and he said they'll do everything to curb xenophobia, and told Mr. President, and told him that we apologize and it's not targeted at Nigerians. We know it is bad and we'll do everything about it. And with President Buhari's intervention, for the first time since this has been happening in South Africa, 4 policemen have been charged to court for being involved in attacks relating to Nigerians. Our mission in Johannesburg and Pretoria, they're always in court for these cases. And I think there was an update last week or so. So they're always in court for the cases, and the cases affected other Nigerians in South Africa. So we've made progress in that regard, and we continue to appeal to South Africa to do everything possible to put an end to xenophobia. This is election season in South Africa, and I tell you, they use that for campaigns. They tell their people what they want to hear. That is their own local problem, which, I will not get involved. But there's the second aspect of it. Nigerians killing Nigerians in South Africa. Cult wars, drug wars have now been moved to South Africa. And again, it's an embarrassment to our nation. So the last few killings have been Nigerians killing Nigerians. And there are cult groups related to drug wars that are now fighting each other. So the last few killings have not been South African killing Nigerians, it's been Nigerians killing Nigerians. Again, this particular issue, our mission there have been on top of the situation. And, they are also passing the same message. Nigerian communities must get involved because they know them, they live amongst them, and they know who they are. Faith-based organizations in South Africa must get involved. Nigerian diaspora organizations must get involved. Some of the diaspora organizations raise funds to support, cases of Nigerians in South Africa that are in court that they can help with. But hey, drug wars, cult wars, Nigerian killing Nigerians in South Africa, it's making it more difficult for the federal government intervention to yield, even better results. Because if something happens now, you're killing each other and what do you want the South Africans to say? Again, this is an issue we need to tackle, and our mission is actually on top of the situation. And I believe that, again, let's talk to ourselves and talk to our brothers doing this thing in South Africa. What is bad is bad.
Well, quickly, before we wrap this up, a question about trade affecting Nigerians in diaspora, particularly in Ghana. Many Nigerian traders who are in Ghana have been protesting that they have been victimized. They are being given unusual levies. Some of them, at a point, were arrested. Their shops were closed down. What we had at the time was that there was ongoing negotiation between Nigeria and Ghana to protect the interests of Nigerian traders living in Ghana. Where are we on that? Because, sometimes we just talk about these things and nobody knows what the government is doing.
Again, when this matter happened, President Buhari also personally intervened. He spoke to his colleague, I remember then in New York at the United Nations, and the president of Ghana assured him that everything will be done to ensure that Nigerian traders in Ghana are not discriminated upon. They have their own rules too, but they shouldn't make it too tough on foreign traders. And the Nigerians came, protested, the matter was resolved. It's raised its head some time ago. And again, our High Commissioner in Ghana, Ambassador Abike, also resolved the matter. So if you talk to the Nigerian trader in Ghana, as I speak, there's sanity in that particular situation as relates to Nigerian traders in Ghana. And talking about Ghana, I get this message all the time. I don't forget that I always get, I think I'm perhaps one of the very few you disturb 2, 3 a.m. with messages and phone calls of distress. There's a video circulated for years about some thousands of Nigerians in Ghanaian prisons. It is not true. It is not true. Again, in Ghana, we also talk to our own citizens there. Don't behave yourselves in that country. I recall a case we intervened in. We were very forceful about it. A Nigerian was killed in Ghana. We got involved. We went to Ghana. We were like, no, we're not justice for our people. And they indeed did everything to ensure justice. At the end of the day, 4 people were arrested for killing the Nigerian. 3 were Nigerians. 1 was Ghanaian. These are students. I'm like, even me, I was like, I couldn't raise my face up because we made a lot of noise. We virtually, harassed them, so to speak. But it turned out that 3 Nigerians were involved in the killing of that Nigerian. And the parents of the boy that was killed was also part of the case, and they were very disappointed that this happened. So message is this: wherever we find ourselves, we're ambassadors. We all hold the green passport. Let's behave ourselves. And, let's keep celebrating those Nigerians that are doing great things all over the world. If one Nigeria commits a crime, 10,000 are doing great things. Nigerians are developing world economies. We want to work with them, to work together to develop our own country in such a way that we don't need to even, we can do better than most of these countries, and we're on the path to doing it with President Buhari's administration. Tackle corruption, tackle the economy, and tackle insecurity, job creation. Just yesterday, 60,000 jobs will be created. We're moving on, and I believe that we're making slow and steady progress together. And we have various schemes in place. We're going to have a diaspora policy. We're working on a program with the doctors, the Diaspora Professional Healthcare Initiative, where doctors will have a platform to be able to come together and, bring their talent and whatever to Nigeria. 5,000 doctors practice in the NHS in the UK, over 5,000 midwives there. We've been talking to them, working with them, and you'll see the program is going to change the narrative, working with our own people here of medical practice in Nigeria. So a lot of this going on, and I believe that when Ireland was in recession, only 2,000 Irish got together and saved their country from recession. We have those people, we have them, but we need to engage them. We need to have a platform. That's what a structure, that's what the commission will provide. And we will seize all the opportunity and put in our very best.
Well, thank you very much, Abike Dabiri-Erewa, for, all these clarifications, and also for your patriotism. I see you are very nationalistic, very patriotic. Anyway, thank you, and good luck with your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.